Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, there are 3 extra days to get your taxes done this year. Are you ready? We'll have some tips on filing. Also tonight, Congressman Andy Biggs joins us in studio to talk about his recent town hall and concerns over health care and American foreign policy. And we'll introduce you to a camp that's empowering people with special needs. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. The tax filing deadline of April 18th is fast approaching. That's right, April 18th. We get 3 extra days to file this year. And joining us now with the latest on new tax laws and tax tips is Bill Brunson with the Internal Revenue Service and Dr. Grant Nula, Deputy Director at the Arizona Department of Revenue. Good to have you both here. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
We got 3 extra days, but everyone procrastinates. Are you seeing procrastination getting better over the years, or did we just still do the same thing over and over?
About 10% of Arizonans are going to request the extension to file, and that's fairly easy to do. You either submit the form, or you can do it online electronically through IRS.gov's free file program. And there's no need to make an advance payment, but if you do owe tax and you make a payment with the request, it's going to reduce future interest and penalty that will accrue. So there's a few people that are going to procrastinate, but we're there to help.
And as far as late filing, right up to the deadline in Arizona, do you still see it, don't you?
Well, we do. We certainly do see it. We've seen about 2 million returns filed so far this year, and normally we get about 3.3 million total filings in Arizona. So there's a lot of folks that still need to file, and we're getting close to the deadline.
I'm guessing though it gets a little bit better the more electronic everyone goes.
25% of taxpayers will wait until those last 2 weeks in April to submit their return. And we'll have almost the same numbers as the state that Grant mentioned. We'll have around 3 million people submit a return this year.
All right, Grant, penalties for late filing, late payment. What are they as far as Arizona is concerned?
That's a very good question. Can't recall exactly.
Okay, well, hold on. I'll let you think about that.
Yep.
As far as the feds are concerned, we're talking about penalties for late file and late payment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Late file is 4.5%. And late pay is 0.5%, combination of 5%. So if you don't have everything together and you owe, request the extension, and that way you're going to knock off 4.5% of that penalty.
When you request an extension, though, I mean, it doesn't. Is it all free and clear? I mean, it
used to be where you had to make a reasonable estimate.
Yeah.
That's no longer the rule. So it doesn't cost anybody anything up front. But if you do have a liability, it will certainly save you money down the line because of the accruing penalty and interest.
The late filing and late payment, what are you seeing out there?
Well, in many respects, Arizona's tax code mirrors what we see with the IRS. So although they're probably not exactly the same, they're quite comparable to one another.
If you can't pay all at once, I mean, what does the state offer as far as that's concerned?
Certainly, the state offers payment arrangements or payment plans, and you can call into the Department of Revenue, and we can get you set up on one of those. And for anyone that's, if they're behind and they want to make a payment, we also offer electronic means of doing so. You can go onto our website at azdor.gov, and on the home page, there's a place where you can make a payment online. So that's one way of helping accelerate those payments.
We've talked about this for years. I mean, there is an installment plan as far as the feds are concerned.
Oh, yeah. And then let's say the next day you default, and then you can call us and we'll put you back in. So it's just a matter of working with the IRS if you owe. And there's various payment arrangements. You can even make a one-time pay from your savings or checking account. There's a lot of options, and I would direct everybody to go to irs.gov to see exactly what's out there if they do owe.
That's if you owe but you can't pay the full. What if you simply can't pay a doggone thing?
Well, we're going to work with the taxpayer in the sense that we're going to ask for financial information, and then if we can see that they don't have the ability, then we'll put it in a hold status. Now, next year, 2 years down the line, financial situation could change, and then we'll talk to you again.
Yeah, as far as the state's concerned, same kind of thing?
It's pretty comparable. Our mission is really to serve taxpayers, so we're going to work in any way we can to help them meet those obligations.
Private debt collectors, correct me if I'm wrong, private debt collectors are now being used?
Absolutely. Both for the state of Arizona, the IRS is using it as well, and we're seeing this in a number of other states too. And part of the reason why we're doing it at the Department of Revenue, and this is really for individual income tax payments, is we operate in a constrained budget environment, and when we look at our resources, we need to put them in or allocate them most effectively. And typically with individual income tax, they're larger numbers, but it's very small dollar accounts. So it's not as economical for us with our limited resources to reach out to those taxpayers, and rather by partnering with very well vetted private debt collectors, that helps us free up resources to work on some of our other tax types where we have fewer taxpayers but larger dollar amounts.
IRS, same thing?
2015, there was a law change, and Congress had the IRS look at assigning debt items to private industry. There are four basic collecting agencies that will be contacting taxpayers. First off, the IRS is going to send the individual a letter, and then it'll be followed up by the private debt collection agency. And then the private debt collection agency is going to call that individual and start to work with them so that they can pay that prior year, not current year, prior year debt. Monies will go to the IRS. If it's a paper check or some sort of other item, then you would write on there, pay to the order of the Department of Treasury. So no money goes to these collectors. There's a concern currently that there's going to be some tax scammers out there that are going to jump on this wagon.
Yes.
And so what we don't want is somebody to fall victim to this item. So most folks know if they owe, and if they get one of these calls, don't engage, hang up. But if you're not sure if you owe prior year taxes, you can always contact the Internal Revenue Service, and then we'll tell you the status of your account. But first off, you're going to get 2 letters and then a phone call. And the letters are going to have numbers that you can match up to validate that this is the true and correct item.
As far as advice, what do you hear the most? What do people, when they call the Department of Revenue, what are the biggest concern they have this time of year?
Sure. Where's my refund?
Yeah.
Actually is one of the biggest ones. So for Arizona, roughly 2/3 of the 3.3 million returns or taxpayers are getting a refund, and we get about 60,000 calls a month, and a quarter of them, if not more, are where's my refund? Conveniently, one of the things the department has for this year is a Where's My Refund. You go to the azdor.gov, on the homepage, big mouse, you click on it, and you can find, and you put in some personally identifiable information, and you can see where you're at in the process.
Before we get going here, most important thing to know, best tip, what do you got for us this year?
Electronically file your tax return. You're going to have a fast and accurate and secure return. If you've got a refund coming and you choose direct deposit, we can put the money in your savings or checking account in about 21 days or less. The electronically filed tax return saves the federal government money, which in turn saves your tax dollars. It's just a win-win situation. 87% of all Arizona taxpayers will choose to electronically file this year, so there's got to be something to it, Ted.
All right. It's good to have you both here. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And coming up, Congressman Andy Biggs joins us to discuss healthcare fights, Syrian airstrikes, and more.
Come and play with us.
Onward and onward.
Good ideas open up a whole new world of possibilities.
The more you know about history, the more you know about yourself.
The sky is the limit.
Where I go, there you are.
Freshman U.S. Representative Andy Biggs is already making waves in Washington, most notably for joining a group of Republicans that refused to pass President Trump's new health care bill. Here to explain his vote and discuss other matters is Congressman Andy Biggs. Good to see you again.
Hey, Ted, good to see you.
Thanks for stopping by. You had a recent town hall, a little raucous there at this recent town hall. Your thoughts on getting out and hearing from folks?
Oh, I think it's fun. It's a great deal of fun, and you know, we had a nice crowd there. I took some good advice that people have given me. Smile, enjoy it. When they flip you the bird, give them 2 thumbs up.
All right.
You know, it was good.
Do you understand the concern, though? Because I know the repeal of the Affordable Care Act was a major concern at the town hall. It's been a major concern for a lot of folks. Yeah. Do you understand the concern? Why did you vote against the Republican plan to repeal?
Well, we never had the vote, Ted.
Why would you have voted against?
Okay, fair enough. My position has always been, we promised. When I was campaigning, people would say, we want you to repeal the Affordable Care Act. Will you please do that? And I said, I will do my best. I will sponsor a bill. I'll vote for such a thing. This bill does not really repeal Obamacare. It's not a total repeal. It leaves in place the fixtures of Obamacare, and so it's not really what we promised. And that was the issue for me personally. Was
it an improvement, though, over the Affordable Care Act?
Well, I'm not so sure it was, because we know that premiums, nobody disputed this, would go up for 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. And then after that, premiums would go down for young people, ages 20 to 35, somewhere in that group. But the 50 to 65-year-olds would see a continued increase in their premiums. That isn't what I call a solution to the issue.
Maybe not a solution, but an improvement, because what I'm hearing from some Republicans is that they're revising the old Ronald Reagan maxim: get 80% of what you want, you got what you wanted.
Yeah, but you're not getting 80% of what we wanted. So the old maxim, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Perfect would be a straight repeal, and then let's do some alternatives. Next would be the 2015 bill, which was passed unanimously by Republicans in the House and the Senate. That was to be the baseline. That wasn't what we got.
Why wasn't it?
I'm not sure why it wasn't. I'm not, you know, I didn't get to make those decisions, but it wasn't there, and that concerned me. And so now what you have is you're leaving all of the regulatory environment in place, so that whatever you do isn't even going to be permanent. That's part of the problem.
You're also leaving in place, though, things that, my impression is that people like these things. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the idea of denying coverage for pre-existing conditions, eliminating the yearly limits as far as what families pay for health care, the adults 26 and under getting to stay on parents' plans. People, I'm guessing, I'm hearing, they like those ideas. Isn't it good for Arizonans to keep those ideas?
Well, let's think about it. When I talked to Blue Cross Blue Shield, who is, by the way, our only insurer left that covers this market anymore, what they said is this: Andy, before that law came in, we covered to age 29 at home. So you see, the old market actually drove that. And the fact that you did a straight repeal didn't mean you wouldn't come back and put certain things in place, such as we've talked about doing a high-risk sharing pool, which is probably not a bad idea, because I think that will drive some costs down. So we can see if we can make that work somehow.
I think a lot of folks heard the Republicans, especially the Freedom Caucus Republicans, you and others, talk a lot about pricing, a lot about costs. What they didn't hear as much of was human beings who need medical coverage.
Well, then they weren't listening, because we've repeatedly said we're working. In fact, the 2 guys that wrote the amendment for the high-risk sharing pool are both Freedom Caucus guys. Gary Palmer from Alabama, David Schweikert from Arizona. And the other thing is, people aren't talking about, what about the millions on the other side that were thrown off under Obamacare? And what is the human cost be? Let's say you did nothing. What would the human cost be when Obamacare just simply ceases to operate? You have half of Tennessee, for instance, that's not even going to have health insurance in the future. Something has to be done. The negotiations are ongoing. They continue, and I think something's going to get done.
Last point on this: if the Freedom Caucus had won out and you had gotten some of these things off of Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act onto the new, just disappears completely, the Senate was not going to vote for this. I mean, certainly you guys would have to come together somehow. Compromise has to be in the air, does it not?
Two things about that. Number one, Senate leadership had already said that the bill that was under consideration was not going to pass out of the Senate either. So you,
right.
But the one thing that you know about a straight repeal is that passed out of the House before unanimously. One thing you knew about the 2015, it passed out of the House and Senate by Republicans unanimously before too. That would have worked. We're doing something a little bit different, and I think that you're going to see something done. Whether I can vote for it or not, I don't know. We're just going to have to see the devil's in the details. But I want to make one last point on that.
Yes.
Don't forget that you probably had a couple dozen moderates that also said they were not going to vote for that bill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, from all sides there were complaints.
Yes, yeah.
At the town hall, you were booed for skepticism on climate change. You're on a science committee here. So
yeah.
What is your thought? What is your belief regarding man-made climate change?
Well, let's talk about cyclical climate change first. And as I said you probably couldn't hear it because I was getting booed and heckled at the time, but I said, look, I'm perfectly comfortable with an idea and accept the idea of cyclical climate change. But with the idea of anthropogenic climate change, that is actually, that's being contested by a lot of very good scientists.
But it's being promoted by by NASA, the Union of Concerned Scientists, a lot of folks with a lot of credentials who put people on the moon, and they are seeing man. It's hard for me to understand why the small group of scientists say one thing, the major group of scientists say the other, and you're going with the small group.
Well, here's the thing. Let's consider this. I wish we had a longer time to talk. My fault for being late, but I wish we could have had a longer time to discuss this, because here's what you need to think about. It isn't just a small group of scientists and climatologists who are saying the models don't seem to be accurate that we can test. The hockey stick by Dr. Mann is called into question. We want to see, these scientists are saying, we'd like to see the data that NASA and that EPA has in making their regulations and their statements. They're not being transparent with the data. What we are seeing is, for instance, a very highly credentialed, peer-reviewed, published academics who are saying there are issues here. Like Dr. Christie, who came in and testified to that committee. They talk about the scientific method, and they have issues with the scientific method. I think these are all valid questions to ask. I think, and I raised this at you probably didn't hear this either, at my town hall. I said, look, when Einstein was challenging the Newtonian physics that had governed physics for 250 years, he was castigated and vilified too. But because you could test his hypothesis,
right,
and you tested it, and even after the eclipses had kind of borne out what he said, it still took years to satisfy and change the norms and accept it.
What kind of data would convince you of man-made climate change? What would you need to see?
Well, I think I would need to see something that says that in 250 years worth of modeling, you can also explain the medieval period of warming, before there was any carbon in the air. I mean, there's no consistency with that and the projection. I'd have to understand why they were projecting the coming ice age just 25, 30 years ago. And now they moved into anthropogenic global warming.
So last point on this, melting ice caps, retreating glaciers, the oceans are rising. You can go to Miami Beach and you got people waking up with the ocean in their front yard. You got higher temperatures. All this is going on, and
Ted, that isn't even accurate. Miami Beach. Are you saying what I'm saying is, on one section where you have ice sheets of melting, on the other side you have growing and expanding ice sheets.
Are you saying glaciers aren't retreating?
What I'm saying is that is contested science, where you have portions of it that are retreating, other sides they're expanding, and this is what the people who question say. Look, we want to see what the effects are. We want to see what the modeling is. When they say this, when they call into question anything, they're shouted down. They're booed. They're told, "Well, Miami." That has nothing to do. That isn't even consistent with their modeling. But if we're going to talk scientists, we need to talk scientific method, and you can't just say,
But we have scientists on the show all the time. It's hardly debatable anymore. I mean, you have to search.
I disagree.
But you have to search to find someone to disagree. You'd have to want to find someone to disagree.
I have a book at home where I was going through it, and there must be 50 highly credentialed scientists that say, look, here's our question. Here's what we ask. And if you say that, people say, oh my gosh, you're a heretic. We're going to burn you at the stake. And my position is, why can't we be more transparent? Why can't we adduce what these people are saying and apply it and question? Why can't you question? It used to be you could question authority. That was the mantra of the left. Now it is, this is the settled authority. Don't dare question it.
So you think this is a leftist idea as opposed to just a moderate scientific, apolitical?
Absolutely.
You don't think it's apolitical?
Not in the least. I look at East Anglia. I look at the IPCC. I look at this. I don't see it being as nonpartisan at all.
I wish we had more time with you. It's good to see you, though.
It's good to see you, Ted.
It's good to
Well,
talk
it just
with you.
goes so quick. We don't even get to go.
All right. Well, at least no one's booing you here.
Well, I thought you were for a second.
For a second. Give me some time. Good to see you again. Thanks for
Good to see you,
joining
Ted.
us.
Thanks.
Get the inside scoop on what's happening at Arizona PBS. Become an insider. You'll receive weekly updates on the most anticipated upcoming programs and events. Get the insider delivered to your email inbox. Visit azpbs.org to sign up today.
Just Like Us premiered at the Phoenix Film Festival a few days ago. And joining us now is the film's director. Joining us shortly will be the film's director, Adam Benavides. Actually, well, before we get to Adam, summer camp is a treat for thousands every year, but people with special needs often miss out on the summer ritual. A new documentary entitled Just Like Us takes a look at an Arizona camp for those living with special needs.
I think that our kids and our adults that come to camp, one thing that they find so wonderful about it is that they get to be social. They're very socially isolated, and that's basically because it's hard to incorporate them into the real world. They don't ever get seen going out to dinner or having a night out at the movies with friends or games or bowling or whatever. People don't have the patience, and it's really an injustice for anyone who is alive. Things like camp are so very important. It's a service that we're providing that is essential to them being strong in who they are. And I think that's priceless.
And Just Like Us premiered, as I mentioned earlier, at the Phoenix Film Festival a few days ago. Joining us now is the film's director, Adam Benavides. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Talk to me about this camp. Where is it located? What's it all about?
Well, the camp is in Lakeside, Arizona, and it's incredible because when I saw the camp and saw that it was free for people with special needs, I went there as a first-time filmmaker and was like, this story needs to be told. Like, more people need to figure out about this camp. So it wasn't an easy decision to make the film and go up to Pine Top and film it.
So this is a year-round summer camp? Is it?
Yeah, it's like 10 weeks out of the summer, actually. And each week there's a different set of disabilities of people who come in. People who come in who maybe are older with mental disabilities. The next week will be people who are younger with physical disabilities. So it really encompasses a broad range of the spectrum. People who maybe are deaf or hard of hearing, people who maybe have cognitive delays or physical limitations. And so each week is different, and it's just really a miraculous place.
It sounds very special, and it sounds like a lot of fun in a variety of ways. When you started the film, did you have a narrative in mind, and did that narrative change? You
know, growing up, I was never really exposed to people who were much different from myself. And so when I visited Camp Tadia and realized that I had to tell this story, I was really trying to put out there that, hey, when you expose yourself, in fact, there's a line in the movie where she says, if everyone came to camp for a week, the world would be a completely different place. And so that is really kind of the narrative that I took was, hey, my experiences visiting this camp and then I want everyone to feel. Because, you know, even though we aren't meaning to be ignorant, a lot of the times we sometimes are. And so.
Younger folks, older folks, they're all up there together, right? All having fun, all taking part in activities.
Absolutely. I mean, well, one week we'll, you know, specify for kids.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the next week will be maybe adults. The next week, teenagers, you know, that sort of thing.
Any challenges when you were recording out there? Did you have a lot of hams, a lot of people that want to get in front of the camera and show off?
Oh my gosh,
you
know,
did.
that was the best part, yeah. You know, a lot of the campers couldn't wait to see themselves, you know, on the big screen. That was actually one of the really awesome highlights of the festival, was seeing people come from the camp and seeing themselves up there and realizing that, hey, that's me. And
yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of reaction are you getting so far? From campers and from parents and families of campers?
Nothing but positivity, you know. I mean, the camp director was nearly in tears after, you know, had finished filming, because she was like, for you guys to come out here, oh, and this is an all volunteer based product, like based project. None of us have gotten paid for this. Manly Films and Media generously donated time, equipment, and efforts to make this film possible. And then the camp just hosted us. And so to Pam, she said, for you guys to care is like one of the biggest thank yous that I could give. You know?
Well, I tell you what, congratulations on this. It's a special project with a bunch of special folks, and it sounds like it's a great thing for you, and obviously a great thing for these people.
Thank you, thank you. If I might say, just
please,
if people want to find out more information about the camp, to visit ArizonaAllianceCamp.org or visit our Facebook page for the film, facebook.com/JustLikeUsMovie.
Just Like Us Movie. All right. Thanks again for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And that is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your PBS station. Thank you.
I'm Chef Mark Tarbell. Join me for a brand new episode of Check Please, Arizona. This week our guests review Fired Pie, Anzio's, and the Spicery in our 1895 house. Don't miss an all-new Check Please, Arizona, tonight at 7 on Arizona PBS.
Explore new ideas and new worlds here on Arizona PBS, a community service of Arizona State University. Coming up next on Arizona PBS, Life and World.
To Deanna Damrow and Vittorio Grigolo as Juliet and Romeo in the world's most popular love story. Look for Gounod's passionate Romeo et Juliet on great performances at the Met.
Friday night at 8 on Arizona PBS.
Next time on Antiques Roadshow, why does this violin move this